E aí, gente, beleza? Nós estamos aqui em mais um vídeo, só aí no meu canal. Como eu falei no áudio, no vídeo passado deu problema no áudio, mas vamos continuar aí. Eu vou fazer uma gameplay um pouco mais rápida, a outra foi mais longa. E bora. Tentar ser mais breve possível, para não ficar enrolando. Então, depois aí de fazer algumas coisas, a gente parou aqui no hospital. Tinha que fazer alguma coisa aqui, né? Analise o sangue do cara. Não, tem uma plantinha aqui.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Tá, o que eu tenho que fazer aqui?
The flower's dying.
Tá.
It needs water. William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Chegou a... tá gastando, né? De mordida, assim, isso, não. Deixa pra lá, vamos de novo. Se na cama até aproximadamente, tá? Como é que eu faço isso então? Filmar. Tá bom. Na noite seguinte.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood?
Atualização da missão, tem que ajudar o hospital a lidar com a epidemia. Então, o meu personagem é um vampiro bonzinho. Ajuda os amiguinhos.
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running? No antiseptics?
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
Tá bom, vambora. Vamos
Gal voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody.
Eita, já tem sistema de combate aqui, porque olha. Perdi aqui. Deve ser aqui. Essa contagia, ó. Achei a chavinha. Amor. Vampiro doidão. Horrível, né? Não tô bom das piadas, não. Nunca foi. Sabe quem é bom de piada? Passarinho, dá muita piada. Não, amor, pintre cisca o chão. Ele bate as asas e faz piu-piu. Vamos lá. Ai, meu Deus do céu. Ó, din-din.
It's locked, all right. Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective. But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself useful. Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza.
Garrafa de álcool. Cartucho da espingarda. Nada.
I cannot enter. This key will surely grant me access to the basement.
Voltando aqui, gente, minha cachorra começou a latir que me chamaram no portão aqui, mas continuando, né?
These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood.
É 13, hein? E aí, meu filho? Oh, droga. Fugiu um pouquinho. Porcaria. Talvez tenha gastado mais em coisa de combate, mas tudo bem. Oh, porcaria.
It's locked, all right. Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this. Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman. The chest was originally opened to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Signs of internal bleeding. So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then, he tried to operate on him again. Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked.
Aqui, nada aqui.
These scowls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting.
É. Acho que...
Sodium hypochlorite. Dangerous to administer, but efficient in the proper dosage.
Pintando um vampiro doidão não. Vou terminar logo essa missão que Hoje tem pé curto. Deixa eu ver. Pensei que ia ser mais difícil essa missão, né? Mas foi tranquilo. Carregando? Deu algum problema aqui, hein? Ih, falhou. Ah não. Nossa, o jogo tem isso também? Jesus. Opa.
It's locked. It's locked. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you a doctor too?
Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you mean, you used to be a doctor? Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
Please show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. But I'm sure they can be useful.
Comerciante.
It never ceases to amaze me how...
Agora quem é esse médico aí que... Quero saber que esse cara aí.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. I'm new here.
I've already heard about you, Dr. Reed. I'm Milton Hooks, the ambulance driver for this shithole of a hospital.
That's quite a blunt introduction, Mr. Hooks.
You can call me Milton. I like to speak my mind, Dr. Reed. Perk of the job. Don't judge me, and I won't judge you.
I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty sure a gun can't be used as a surgical instrument.
You have a keen eye. I learned to shoot during the war, and have carried one ever since. Old habits die hard.
No need to explain, Dr. Reed. And if you ever need a better gun, remember, I may have something for you.
Okay.
Goodbye, Milton. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swans's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Another night with the hospital.
cara aqui.
Good evening, sir.
So it is true. The famous Dr. Reed has joined us. I can't think of any better news during these terrible times.
Do we know each other?
Actually, yes. We met once before, at the Rockefeller University in New York.
Dr. Tippett's, yes, I remember. I was assisting Professor Carell in his research about coronary bypasses. He had nothing but praise for you.
He was also very confident about your future. And look at you now. Eminent surgeon and blood transfusion specialist.
Corcoran, I want you to tell me about Mr. Connor. How did he die? What happened?
He was my patient. He died because of my mistake. That's the blunt truth.
Who was this patient?
I don't know. Some sick man from the docks, maybe a fisherman. I had no time to talk with him. No one claimed a body.
What was the nature of the mistake?
It was a twofold error. My diagnosis was wrong, and the administered dosage was too strong.
Why not stop practicing?
Are you mad? I killed that man, I admit it, and it won't happen again. I have saved so many lives since then.
What can you tell me about the staff in the hospital?
Ok.
Some are really good, and others are not so good. But during this troubled period, there is no time for slander. I prefer to focus on the positive character traits.
Tell me more about cherished people, then.
Nurse Brannigan is a pearl. She is the most helpful and dedicated nurse I've ever worked with. A clever and cheerful woman.
You really seem to admire her skills.
I'll go even further. If she was a man, she would be a damn fine practitioner.
Any opinion about the management?
I don't always agree
Sempre
with Dr.
perguntando se
Swansea's
vai conhecer o
reserve. But I
pessoal.
must admit he does all he can to keep this facility running during this crisis.
Ah, yes, the burden of command. I was fed up with this concept while serving as a medical officer.
Don't get me wrong. Swansea's a good administrator. I just wish he would get out of his office now and again.
Ok. Acho que dá pra saber mais.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
The offer from that Cadigan fellow.
Vai ser agora que fazer missão.
Just a dozen years or so.
Perhaps I should have considered the offer from that Cadigan fellow.
Ok. tratamentos. Ok.
It's locked, all right.
Acaba batendo aqui do controle. Vou terminar essa missão aqui pra... Desculpa, pra encerrar logo. Bem, vamos lá. Das várias piadas aqui. Tá lotado, por favor, voltem para casa. Tipo os hospitais daqui de São Paulo.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office. He's been looking for you. Seemed pressing.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes,
Isso
maybe.
que é um médico. Se fosse
But I
aqui,
don't want to
é
talk or
virose.
even write about it now.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'll let you get some rest, then.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
I have to go now, sir.
Mas esse jogo é
But
interessante
don't
por causa dos
hesitate
diálogos.
to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir.
Vamos conversar com a véia de novo.
Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Sociais? Não, não tem nenhuma. Fica pistas, então.
Goodbye,
tá
Mrs.
bom.
Goswick.
Não tem mais o que fazer.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Cá, né?
I wonder what the ghosts came.
It's locked, all right.
Daily routine.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
I wonder why the Goswicks came here in the first place.
To you now.
The life running in your veins. This dead too much energy for so little result.
Só doido era por aqui. Acho que era aqui. Isso, aqui mesmo.
Please, Jonathan, come in.
fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body, biology's penultimate frontier. The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you. This area of town, the hospital, a brand new life. How stimulating it must be.
I wish I could share your enthusiasm, Dr. Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization. Undead? Unalive? Immortality defies logic.
I cannot express my thrill at this serendipitous turn of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
Achei engraçado essa parte.
I'm a dead man. I was murdered. Now I'm a murderer. Tell me how this is a gift.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
There is no need to apologize, Edgar. You offered me sanctuary when I had none.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors. Unfortunately, our main donor has found herself in a bit of a bind. Now, if you could help her out...
A spokesman or politician is what you need. That's not my calling. And until I come to understand what has happened to me, I require discretion.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan. Lady Ashbury has recently received rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly near the tents outside, tending the sick. You can't miss her. Look for someone impossibly delicate.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of trouble Lady Ashbury is in.
Mais coisa pra fazer. Bem, vou fazer o seguinte. Eu vou parar por aqui. Porque com certeza se eu falar com essa mulher é missão. Missão dada tem que ser uma missão cumprida, né? Dizia Capitão Nascimento. Vou fazer o seguinte, eu vou voltar pra minha sala. Vou dar um save. Quer dizer, save é automático, né? Mas tudo bem. Eu vou ver as minhas habilidades. E de resto vocês já sabem, né? Aí eu vou parar por aqui, tá bom? Nossa, acabei. Uau. Fui gastando aqui com as coisas que eu não precisava, mas tudo bem. Táticas, bot. Isso aqui vai ser interessante, mas eu preciso gastar depois. Eu vou fazer o seguinte, eu não vou gastar com isso aqui não. Acho que exagerei. Eu vou arrumar aqui certinho. Tá. Vou aumentar a capacidade de sangue 2 vezes. Táticas, véu sombrio. Dirana sua figura para desaparecer nas sombras e ficar invisível para os olhos inimigos. Visitado com os olhos ainda mais em cor. Você sai da luta para desviar. E figura acabar. É uma sombra. Eita, que isso aqui consome, hein? Autofagia. Ah, isso aqui eu preciso melhorar. Pena que não tem como. Mas tá bom, lança de sangue. Isso aqui é interessante, mas também não vai dar. Isso aqui é interessante, mas também não vai dar. Caramba, mano, essas habilidades são tudo cara, parça. 2.000? Você tá doido. Mordida forte. Sim, esse agora você pode carregar 3 soros. Ah, moça médica, claro. Vamos pegar um sorinho. Confirma, pronto. É isso aí. Bem, gente, de qualquer forma, não se esqueçam de se inscrever aqui no canal. Ok? O canal precisa da ajuda de vocês. Espero que vocês assistam a gameplay até o final. Tenham assistido até o final. E é isso, gente. Até uma próxima e tchau.